The business of the coffee chat is in session. Joining me this morning, Tsekhoacho Moagi. Good morning.
Good morning, Xoli.
It was nice waking up, was it?
I mean, I'm not going to answer that one, all right?
Good morning, Sanile Ganwas.
Nansika, Bunjai.
Good, sir. Let's begin with the work that we're here to do, and that is the shutdown that I just spoke about now. It appears that this is actually going to be happening throughout Gauteng. Maybe that's exaggerating a little bit. To be specific, where is the Premier delivering his State of the Province address today?
Well, he's going to be in Ga-Rankuwa today, and that is where he'll be delivering his SOPA. Now, the thing is, there are residents from Mamelodi that are also going to be in Ga-Rankuwa, but they'll be picketing outside of the university.
They're not attending the SOPA.
They're not attending the SOPA, no. They are saying that they want the Premier to hear their calls and their cries for land that was promised to them.
Let's look at the front page of the Pretoria News, actually. And it talks about Makura's SOPA under threat. Subheadline, no permission, but angry residents will march anyway on this key day for Gauteng. What exactly seems to be the issue? Because I see that there's also the talk about the Mamelodi residents. Remember them back in December during those heavy floods. Their informal settlement where they were living was swept away by those floods, and they were housed in a nearby church. Have they been moved since?
They haven't been moved since. So though they are the ones that will be at SOPA, outside SOPA, today. The main thing, you know, it says that no permission granted, and it's because that there isn't anyone from the Premier's office that has said that they will accept the memorandum from the residents. So that is why then there's no permission that has been granted, and this is something that has to be done. Somebody from the Premier's office has to accept the memorandum for a picket like this to actually be legal. But the TMPD saying that they definitely will be keeping an eye on it. However, these residents have not been moved. They were promised land last year. They were promised to be moved by the end of January, and they still have not been moved. So they are quite upset, and they are saying that they don't understand why it's taking so long. It's promise after promise after promise, and nothing still has been done.
Sandile, that still on that front page, it's not just the residents who were displaced during the floods. There are also some residents who live in flats that apparently would have been moved at some point.
Back rooms and backyards also.
Indeed.
It's an amalgam of people. I mean, everybody's got a complaint in South Africa, particularly if you live in townships. So, I mean, if you want to understand what's going to happen in the Gauteng State of the Province address, maybe we need to look back at what happened last year. Promises made last year. We're told about e-tolls would be scrapped. Has that happened? Has that come to fruition? National government said they were going to come up with a decision, or at least a plan, a roadmap forward, October 2019. That was pushed back to the 12th of February. Now it looks like it's going to be pushed back to the actual budget address or budget speech by the finance minister. You look at the jobs plan in terms of unemployment, that were promises made there, in terms of the Township Economic or Economy Development Act. There was promises about 30% for township businesses in terms of procurement and supply chains. Has that been delivered on? You look at TEPO 1 million. Do you guys remember that? In terms of the unemployment crisis, and how much has that delivered? So these are the promises we need to look back on first before we're even going to start focusing on the 2020
there
SOPA.
Are so many competing interests. I mean, I'm just looking at some of what the Premier is going to be touching on. It's the economy, jobs, infrastructure, education, a skills revolution, and health. I think that's part of what you're probably here to talk about as well, because you were at a school yesterday, Nomini Primary School. Infrastructure was an issue. What exactly? Remind the viewers what exactly the issue was with that school.
Well, when we got the call last week, we were told that there's sewage that is spilling over in the school. When we got there last week, you see the spillage of the sewage on the corridors of that particular school. And the SGB members were saying that when it rains, obviously it then rises and pupils can't get into class, which is the biggest problem that they had. The other huge problem was the maggots that were actually inside the toilets.
I saw those pictures.
You know, it's really disgusting. And as you approach the toilets where these people are supposed to go to, the stench is nasty. It's terrible. And so that was the biggest concern as well. I mean, how are people supposed to learn when they can't even relieve themselves at school? So the SGB then closed down the school. It was closed for about a week because of the concerns, the health concerns that they had. And that's only then when Education Department actually came in to actually try and clear. The interesting thing about this is that this school, the principal mentioned the problem of the sewage last year, October.
Last year, October?
Last year, October.
Oh. And it wasn't dealt with?
No.
Up until it showed itself?
Yes. But it had already showed itself in the sense that the sewage was already there. It's just that it was not as hectic as what it was when we were there last week. And last year, October, it was bad, but this year it looked even worse from what we were told.
Oh.
It has since been cleared. It looks much better. I mean, I went there yesterday to just check what was happening, and it looks much, much better. But the SGB is saying, why did it have to take an issue where they have to go to the media or speak to...
I wanted to ask the question. Had that story not come out, would that problem have been cleared then?
That's now the thing. I mean, when I spoke to Steve Mabona from Education, he says that they were working on this. They had gotten a supplier to try and fix, and that is what happened. But as soon as ENCA went, it got fast-tracked, you know. So it really is a thing of when are we going to get to a point where the media does not have to step in all the time.
Do you now see the important work that we do?
Absolutely.
Sandile, talk to us about what's happening in the sports page.
Let's take you to the sports day. Main headline there says Proteas speedsters have their tails up. Essentially the Proteas bowlers. Just in terms of that second T20 against Australia, I think a lot of South Africans were critical of the Proteas in terms of them being beaten by England in the T20 series and then getting beaten by Australia. They came back very well, St. George's Park in the second test. Now they go to Newlands to try and win the series. It's the series decider, the third and final T20, and everything's all square at 1-1.
When is that being played?
It's going to be played today.
Sure.
And you've got a picture of Lungi Ngidi. He's going to be one of the key bowlers. He took 3 wickets in the last T20 international. He'll be backed up by guys like Anrich Nokia and, of course, Kagiso Rabada, plus the spinner, Tabraiu Shamsi. He held things down, kept the Australian middle order in place, restricted them to low amounts of runs. So he'll be very important, specifically, though, in terms of getting guys like Steve Smith and Dave Warner, keeping them out of the game. That will be the #1 task for the bowlers.
I think the thing, though, with cricket is we are critical because we know that they can do better.
Yes.
We know very well that they can do better. T20 has always been a problem for the Proteas, granted. But can they just do better?
But then the thing is, we're in a transitional phase, though, and we're playing like world-class sides like England, we're playing India, Australia. Not exactly on that level yet, but they are on the way back. And we're also going through a transitional phase in terms of guys retiring. We've got new management, new coaches, maybe guys not exactly understanding their roles in terms of where they fit into the team. So those are the challenges we're faced with. We're not an actual world-class team right now, but we should be on the way to being one.
All right. Well, the two of you seem to know sport way better than I do. So let me take over at this stage and wrap this up. Thank you very much, Tseho. And Sandile, you and I remain, sir.